So Sir Wyn, chair of the Post Office Horizon IT inquiry, is now going to provide us with the final part, the final statement for phase 4 of the Post Office Horizon IT inquiry, outlining where next for the Post Office inquiry, the update regarding future phases, including phases 5, 6 and 7, with the approximate timescales, and an update on the compensation issues, which is so vital for all the affected sub-postmasters and the families. Let's jump into the inquiry.
So I think, Mr. Beer, that concludes those who wish to make oral submissions. Is that correct?
It is correct, sir, yes.
Well, all that is going to happen now then is that I propose to make a short statement and then adjourn the inquiry.
Sir, thank you,
So
yes.
if you have any business, Mr. Beer, I'll make my statement and adjourn the inquiry.
Thank you, sir.
Phases 1 to 4 of the inquiry are now substantially complete. I use the word substantially quite deliberately. Oral evidence from a small number of witnesses, including Mr. Gareth Jenkins, is yet to be heard, and there remains a possibility that the continuing disclosure of documents to the inquiry will reveal issues related to phases 2, 3, and 4, which will require the inquiry to make public additional documents or even adduce further oral evidence. Now, however, it is time to look forward and for me to lay out how and when I propose to deal with the remaining phases of the inquiry. For some time now, I have been considering the possibility that phases 5 and 6 should be run together as one phase. Having consulted with my legal and secretariat teams, I have decided that this is the way forward. Those phases are concerned with so many issues which overlap that to consider them separately would be artificial and probably excessively time-consuming. There is, however, one topic within Phase 5 which I do not consider can be appraised finally for some time yet. That is the topic of the 3 compensation schemes currently in being. I must reach conclusions about whether these schemes are operating and or have operated fairly, and whether they have fulfilled their stated aim of providing full and fair compensation promptly to all those who are eligible to receive it. I have decided that to do justice to this topic, it will be heard as part of Phase 7. This will allow me to look at as full a picture as possible relating to compensation issues before I report to the Minister. However, I am conscious that this topic attracts widespread attention for obvious and justified reasons. It is now virtually 6 months since I delivered an interim report relating to compensation issues to the Minister. I am alive to the possibility that it may be necessary to hold a further discrete compensation hearing before the beginning of Phase 7. I will keep that under review during the course of the coming weeks. Phases 5 and 6 will begin on Tuesday, the 9th of April, 2024, and I intend that they will end by Wednesday, the 31st of July, 2024. There will be a break of 1 week during the week of Monday, the 27th of May. Save during that break, the inquiry will sit 4 days per week, as has been its practice to date. A written timetable will be published on the inquiry website in due course. Following consultation with my teams, I considered that whether it would be possible to start phases 5 and 6 earlier than the 9th of April 2024. I have concluded that this is not possible for the following principal reasons. First, it is my current intention to adduce oral evidence from at least 68 witnesses in these phases. A great deal of preparatory work is and will be necessary if that number of witnesses is to be accommodated between the 9th of April and the 31st of July. A list of those 68 witnesses will be provided when this statement is published, as it will be later today. Second, if phases 5 and 6 were to be heard separately, there would need to be breaks before phase 5 began and then before the start of phase 6. Those breaks, together with the periods necessary for oral hearings, would probably mean that phases 5 and 6 would not be completed by the 31st of July, thereby prolonging the life of this inquiry. Accordingly, the break before the start of phases 5 and 6 will help to assist the process of completing the evidence gathering as quickly as is reasonably practicable. Third, a substantial break now will maximize the chance that Post Office, UKGI, and any other document providers with whom the inquiry has expressed concern will be able to comply with their disclosure obligations in a timely way. Fourth, I have now heard a great deal of evidence, and I have heard a number of submissions on that evidence from representatives of core participants. I am satisfied that having the opportunity to take stock at this stage and perhaps formulate some preliminary views will minimize the time I will need to spend writing my report following the completion of evidence gathering. Assuming that phases 5 and 6 are complete by the 31st of July 2024, phase 7 will commence on Tuesday, the 3rd of September 2024. My current estimate is that this phase will be completed by the end of September 2024, but I make it clear that this is a provisional view. Finally, my report will follow as soon as is reasonably practicable following the completion of the evidence gathering. As I have said, that statement will be published later this afternoon with a list of the 68 persons who will be called to give evidence in phases 5 and 6. Experience over very many years has taught me that when judges or chairs of inquiries try to make jokes, it usually falls very flat. I will, however, end this session by sharing with you my wry amusement at the efforts of my English brethren and sisters to pronounce the name of Mr. Huey Thomas's branch in Anglesey. Various permutations have been tried. As a South Walian, I would call it Gaerwen. Thank you all very much, and I'll see you in April, if not before.
Thank you, sir.
So that was Sir Wyn's closing statement, Chair of the Post Office Horizon IT inquiry for phase 4 of the inquiry, which I think has been the longest phase yet, starting in early 2023, outlining the next steps for phases 5 and 6 and 7, including his approximate timescales. It would sound like from things then we can expect the report sometime in 2025, following the provisional conclusion of the inquiry on the 30th of September 2024. The next phase of the Post Office inquiry, as a reminder, phases 5 and 6, which Sir Wyn outlined reasons why he has combined them together, save for compensation issues, is due to start on the 9th of April.